Coming up on Open House, we have our client, Matt Shallenberger, actor and photographer extraordinaire, who went through the Eaton Fires and lost his mid-century modern home. A very poignant and perspective-filled episode. And humor coming up.
We are real estate experts.
We may be the only realtors you ever meet. Plus, we're fun, and our friends are fun. Come on over to our open house.
Welcome to Open House, a podcast about Los Angeles real estate. Hollywood, hot homes, gossip, tech, trends. Ladies and gentlemen.
Is it happening?
It's happening.
It's happening.
It's Open House.
We've been so charming off camera. Let's try to recreate it.
Yeah. How do we
Ladies
recreate
and
it?
gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to, without any kind of hyperbolic activity, I would like to say probably
I'm so
one
excited
of
about this moment.
my favorite people. One of my I would say one
I
of
saw
my
the wheels
favorite
turning
people.
before that phrase was chosen.
One of my favorite people I've ever met.
I'm comfortable with that. Double likewise.
Is
Sure.
that making you uncomfortable? You
No,
seem fine.
it's not
You seem
transactional.
Like, you almost seem like you expected it.
No, I'm coming to terms with
I
my
love
own
him
self-worth.
so much. Well, you're so good. You're
I appreciate
just so
that.
Good.
I think
He was okay. So we went to William and Mary together.
Mm-hmm.
He's a acclaimed. We're gonna get into that photographer.
Okay.
Acclaimed actor. Acclaimed home renovator. We'll get into that. And also did a lot of. There was a phase that I missed. We'll get into it. You made a lot of like you're crafty. You made.
I did a lot of things. I talked about this
yes.
in couples therapy for like a half hour just this morning. So I'm available.
You are a jack of all trades, master of all of them. So let's not, right? I mean,
I'm not. No,
you're
I
very
just.
good at what things you do. You go all in. You're an A student.
I appreciate. Thanks for the introduction. It's very nice to be
Also,
here.
you were in the Blue Man Group.
I did do that as well.
You just sidled that in.
That's,
I think I have been pretty good at lots of things.
Yes.
well, I mean, obviously good at lots of things.
Sure.
I don't.
We used to have a thing. Okay.
Not
so,
everybody falls off the bus and they're like, "Hey, I'm in Blue Man."
Well, no, so
Oh,
he's
that
like, I'll
happened.
be an
And then
actor,
that-
and then he's in like every commercial ever made, and like The Dark Knight, and then
Right.
he's in like a series regular in a show, and then so me and my friends, I had the biggest crush on him in college. I actually
The biggest of your friends?
The biggest. Well, I actually got a crack at him. Let's be honest. But we were in a lot of plays together.
Mm-hmm.
It may or may not have gone romantic at several junctures.
Whoa,
But
whoa. Where's this podcast going?
No, it's not going anywhere weird. We're getting right back
No, I
on
got
track.
to I got to shave your legs in a play.
Yeah, I mean, how could we not have had a slight dalliance after
Sure,
that?
that's part of the premise.
That was part of the premise.
I mean,
that was research. But we
Dare
also
I ask what production was it? That
it was a
Oh,
very
it's
small
student
production.
directed.
It was a very small
Nice.
production. Richard Linklater was nowhere to be found. Richard Bloom was there though, and he was
Yeah.
wonderful. Our dear friend he lives in LA and is our dear friend to this day. But anyway, we used to always say, Conchetta and Kathleen and I, that everything you touch just turns to gold, and it mostly does. It mostly does.
I'll say it all does somewhat. For me to hear like an itemized list of my
Are you
apparent
feeling good
external
about it?
successes. No, it's a mixed bag. It's like it's a little bit of a. I'm 40, almost 47. I'm coming to terms with it, but it's like it's a list of like things that almost happened in my own
so many good
recollection.
things, though.
Not things that like, oh, here's a great era. It's like,
You're just so good at so many. You're like a
but the
contender.
Blue
It's
Man
like,
happened.
oh no.
You're on the waterfront, Terry Malloy.
Yeah, no.
You are a contender. It's not past tense.
Yeah.
You're wonderful.
Yeah.
You're good at a million things.
I appreciate that. I'm trying to be better at just face value
Yes.
reception.
Oh my
So-
gosh.
that's-
We're all terrible
Thank
at
you.
it. We're all
Yeah.
terrible
Sure.
at it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It is nice
There
to be
we
with someone
go.
who has known me for
Well, I mean, the level of comfort.
27 years.
When you know someone this well, the level of comfort is
Yeah.
absurd.
I
You can't
moved
recreate
around
it.
a lot. So the number of people that I have known, so I've known you longer than pretty much anybody.
We've known each other for like 20 years.
Yeah.
That makes us sound.
Are you playing it down? Because
Ancient.
it's like significantly more than that. Are you trying to be weird about
Wait,
it?
is
Yeah. I'm 40. I mean, 27, 28. Yeah. Yeah. I just didn't know if I was part of some long.
Wait,
long con that I don't know about. We've known each other for 20 years since I was 11. We met in third grade. We met in college.
Because I was like, wait a minute,
27
27 years, because I've known you since the Hollywood days.
Yeah.
Yes. We've known each other forever.
Yeah,
Let's
long
just
time.
be clear
Long time.
about that.
Time enough to do and not do and succeed and fail in various
all
arenas.
of those things. And then you have a beautiful wife who I love a lot too, and she's wildly successful. I mean, the two of you are a powerhouse couple. Let's just be real.
I appreciate it.
I'm going to plug. She has a show coming out called Happy Face on Paramount Plus. She's the showrunner and creator.
100%.
Right? Amazing. You have an exhibition coming in Santa Monica of your. It's very compelling. We're going to really get into it.
Yeah, open it.
Bergamot Station.
Will you tell me the name of it? I just knew it.
The name of the show is
Out of
the Ashes.
Out of the Ashes.
It's at Bergamot Station Art Center, which is this cool, like, I'm going to say strip mall so that you just have the architecture in your head. But it's like this parking lot there's several galleries that surround it, and some of the best galleries in town. Like, well, Craig Kroll and Marshall Gallery got together to do this, but Rose Gallery is there, and there are a lot of great galleries. So it's a cool place that you can go see a whole bunch of art all at once.
Yeah,
But I've been there. I don't remember it looking like a strip mall.
Well, I'm just saying it's all one level, bunch of doors,
and
you can knock them all out.
Yeah,
and it was a train station, right? At one point.
And there's a train station right. You could, if you're that guy, you can public transport it the whole way back and forth. Yeah,
take the expo line,
drop off right there.
Yeah, you know what? He is that guy.
Oh, I know it. He's like a 9 bus
more retired.
No one gets more turned on by public transportation than John.
Nothing gets. We were talking the other day that we went to the 3 martini lunch, and then this, and I had never ridden the bus in LA, and I was like, I'm not riding the bus.
When is this?
Friend of mine,
1979?
This was a while ago.
Sounds like a man.
But my friend was like, Johnny, you just take the red buses, not the orange ones.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay. So we had a 3 martini lunch on Rodeo, and then took the rapid bus over to Crenshaw, and then the other rapid bus, and I was like, I feel like I'm retired.
Those were the
days. And a little drunk.
This was definitely before
I feel like that's one of my earliest memories of you is the premise.
Drunk?
Yeah, fair. No, one is and I'll get all the numbers wrong.
Wait a minute.
No. As not a avid bus rider in Los Angeles, I feel like one of my earliest understandings of you. I'll just make up numbers. It's like, you can just take the 16 to Van Ness to the 2 to the 5 to the 1 10
like the Californians on SNL.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, except
but for
with
buses.
the rapid buses.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then he does that weird look in the mirror.
What is that? What are you talking
That
about?
weird thing they do in the mirror at the end where they're like glamoring themselves.
Yeah.
It's less glamorous in a bus window reflection.
It doesn't quite hit the same way.
Yeah.
It is.
So we also sold you a house. We sold you a house.
Yeah.
I mean,
sold you a
the thing
beautiful
about
house.
this podcast is I want it to always be about real estate, but I really love my friends and people and interesting people. And so I try to sort of crowbar real estate in to a podcast that really is a human interest podcast.
Yeah,
so,
hammer away.
But this is very poignant and noteworthy that we sold you a house. You can tell us a little bit. It was a Gregory Ain house in
100%. So there are two Gregory Ain tracts. He was a mid-century architect who was sort of shunned by the case study architects and several other mid-century architects for making his houses too livable.
Yeah.
Functional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
It's
efficient.
all like function.
His whole goal was a post-World War II new American family, livable, usable. And that is the thing about that house. I haven't been out to the Mar Vista tract where there are several other houses. And he also has a little museum in part of UC Santa Barbara. But the about 2 seconds into the first time I walked into that, or actually all the houses were the same. I walked into another house down the street that was the same footprint as ours.
Right.
And I felt like you could close your eyes and walk around that house and know where everything is.
Yeah.
It's just so intuitive and not big.
Yeah.
But you could spin around in one place in the house and just be like, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, perfect. Okay, great.
Yeah. Easy living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
It was great.
No drama.
Totally never overwhelming, never. My mom won't listen to this. She designed her house. It's great. It's big. It's nice. Whatever.
Right.
It works for her personality. But to cook a meal in that house,
Yeah.
it's just so counterintuitive. Everything's too far apart, and that it just is just one of those. This house that we lived in on Highview in Altadena was just. Yeah, I guess intuitive is the right word.
I guess Altadena is a context clue of where we're headed with this.
Here we are. That house is no longer.
Yeah.
So Bruna's fish died. Is that a good intro?
Yeah.
So
First of all, I'm so sorry.
I appreciate
Yeah.
it. We are in
Very.
a interesting place that is not at all like laden with grief or bad news.
Yeah.
It's kind of there's some like opportunity, interest, positively. We're also like luckier than so many people in the same
Yeah.
situation. But
You have good perspective.
we
Yeah.
at about 5 p.m.
Yeah.
that day, it was real windy all day. I
Yeah.
think you all remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. The wind
do.
was whipping
Yeah.
around. Yep.
So I did all of the stuff that someone who's 46 with OCD does. Like
Yeah.
I went and filled up the
As
car.
one
I
does.
parked facing out. I put the go bags in the car. We'd never had to evacuate before, but
Yeah.
there have been fires. We don't live very close to the mountains, but in the deep mountains near us, there have been fires before. So I had a bag packed. And then at about 5 p.m., Bruna, my daughter, came out of her room and said, well, first of all, she was pissed to go to her room because I had asked her to clean something. And she went, and she's a real door slammer. And she loves to go to her room.
A woman after my own heart.
Oh,
She
wow.
loves to. When she was only 4 years old, she slammed the door, and you heard this. She went to her room, and you heard, and then you heard it open, and then she said, "I can do better." And she slammed it. And she's
She
been,
sounds right
yeah,
up my alley.
She's
Oh
been
my
slamming it ever
gosh.
since. But she came out and she said, "My fish died." Her
Oh.
fish's name is Swale, and
Well.
neither of us believed her because
Yeah.
that fish was
Hardy.
lazy.
Lazy.
No, it was hardy, but you could sit with a chair in front of that tank for an hour and not know if the fish was alive or not. So I went in, I came out and shook my head at Jen and was like, yeah, the fish is dead. And then we started getting, that's 5:15. Then we
Yeah.
started getting candle. Let's have a little funeral for the fish. The power goes out 6 o'clock. Then Jen goes to our bedroom, looks out the window. It's very pink. She comes back and she says, I think there's a fire down the street. So I went and looked. I went outside and could see the fire, but didn't know how far away it was. But the wind from the fire that was, holy shit, was blowing directly from the fire at us.
Unusual.
Really,
feeling.
really fast.
Yeah, like aggressive.
And you guys were far from where that fire originated.
We're about
mean-
2.5 miles.
Yeah, but
Not
I mean,
far enough, but yes.
Yeah, and
but it's like a hill. There's like a
there's the mountains, and we
Yeah.
are at the closest spot, well over like a mile and a half from the
Yeah.
mountains, and
Right.
then the fire was a good couple miles east of there. So it was really far away. But you look at it and you're like, it's dark because all the power's out. And you're like, I don't know if this thing is close or far. I don't know if it's big and far
Yeah.
or small and close.
Yeah.
But let's get our stuff together. So I packed up some stuffies, and I packed what I thought were the 4 best prime stuffies.
Yeah.
stuff. Is your stuff?
There's always
is,
a
right?
packing
You're
order.
not talking about your daughter's stuff.
Yeah,
is
fair.
it?
No, yeah, my daughter's
No, no.
stuffies. No. Full size. We have a camper van, adult size stuffies.
Yeah.
And then the fish went
You've got your
in
priorities
a
straight.
box. And then we all got in the car and we drove away.
Yeah.
And we left.
A lot of clothing and stuff, or not? Like just kind of like
What did
you
we
were-
bring with us?
Like as if you were off to like a Palm Springs.
We thought we'd be
3
gone in a couple days.
A couple days. Yeah.
So what was it like going out? Were you running into other cars going out? Were you
Did it
So
feel
other-
like panicked? That people
Yeah,
were all
already.
kind of
And we left
pushing outward?
15 minutes after the fire started.
Oh, so it all precipitated very
And
quickly.
we were,
Wow.
and there was already an accident at the corner, and people
People were
yelling
like
at each
acting
other in the
a
street.
fool.
And
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
the wind made stuff feel a lot more harrowing than it might have been.
Yeah, it feels
And we
apocalyptic
thought-
with those winds whipping.
Yeah, and we
away.
thought, well, maybe we'll go to our friends in Highland Park, which is a couple neighborhoods over.
Yeah, is that Casey?
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I said, I kind of want to go out of town. And and the logic, if there was room for it, was I don't want to make this. Right now, we're making this decision with 1,000 other people,
Yeah.
5,000 other people,
Yeah.
and if we wait 4 hours, we might be making this decision
Like
with
10,000
other people
Yeah.
all on the road at once.
Right.
I don't want to be a
And
part
it's
of that.
just-
Let's
it's
just
the
go.
parking lot.
It's not even like the sun had set, but it wasn't. Bruna wasn't asleep yet. It was like
while
let's
the
just
going
go
was
out of
good.
town.
Yeah.
Right.
A smart
If
move.
if I had had the whole day, I would have packed different stuff and
Of
more
course,
stuff, whatever.
you probably sit through the bones of it in the aftermath, like for a minute, and then
Yeah,
move
and
on,
now
but-
to fast forward, now like I care so little. There are a handful of things.
Yeah.
None of them are financial.
They never
Some
are, right?
of them are sentimental.
So interesting.
And like a couple things are like logistical. But
Yeah.
most of this, we went back to the house.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And it was just immediately like, we don't need to be here. Like,
Yeah. Like
there's
this
no,
is not productive.
Everybody's
Yeah.
got their own relationship to it. Clearly, there are people who go in there and having that's part of
Like
their
their grieving process
of it.
Yeah.
For us, we almost didn't need to get out of the car.
Yeah.
It was like,
well,
oh, okay.
this is what this is.
That left.
Right. Tick the box.
And
right.
we were in that house for about 7 years, I
Yeah.
think, something like that.
Yeah,
God, that
that
went
sounds
quick.
right. That
Yeah.
sounds right.
Went really quick.
But you guys are such
mean,
a
that-
beautiful family, and I don't know. I can't wrap my head around. I can't be sanctimonious about this process because obviously I've never been through it. But there must be some kind of very like bonding feeling about it, where you, if you come out on the other side of something like this with your family intact, what a lucky lot you are to have each other. And,
Well, we did tell our couples therapist we didn't think we needed to keep going today.
oh, that's huge.
So maybe that's
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Can I tell you what happens at ours? Can I tell
Wait,
you?
wait.
We
Wait,
go to-
hold on.
yeah.
I'm missing. I'm a little slow.
I'm
when it
saying
comes
that
to
we
some
were
of
in-
this
What's
couples
happening?
therapy. So you're saying that you don't need to continue with the couples therapist?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
they
saying-
got, She
Oh.
fired them because they're perfect.
There
They
you
love
go.
each
Okay.
other. It's
I was
it's a go.
mortified on a different.
Looks like looks like it's a go.
yeah. I'm just saying if you want to like really tighten shit up,
Yeah, like go through
Let your
like
house burn down.
like collective,
Oh
like
my
a
gosh.
trauma bonding situation.
it just kicks some stuff like off the totem pole.
It
that
does,
doesn't need to
right?
be
Like
there.
that doesn't matter. Like
Sure.
who fucking cares, right? So,
Oh
I
my
don't need to
gosh.
be dropping f-bombs on this podcast.
I think I.
I
have
think,
Well-
I mean, you're overdue.
Yeah,
But
we didn't-
You're allowed.
We didn't
Oh,
go
I didn't know
through
that
it.
was the
We had
premise.
2 solar panels that blew off the roof. One of them landed on the neighbor, right into the So we had
That's
to
the
do
worst
The
that happened
neighbor's
to us.
what?
But
But
he's
that was
skimming over
how-
the fact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He
That's
doesn't
not
want
what
me to
you said.
talk about our couples therapist. We go and sometimes we go. We go for a check-in.
Oh, yeah,
And
couples
sometimes
therapy.
and our couples therapist will be like, I'll be like, so same time next week, and she'll be like, no, just John.
Oh, is it always John?
John goes to the principal's office.
Hey,
She's
whoa,
like,
now-
Yeah, you don't know that. You don't know what happens when they're there.
Maybe they
He could walk in
Maybe
and
they
she'd be
just-
like, John,
Maybe they just
bail.
talk shit
What's
about me.
going
I
on?
mean, what a bear.
Yeah.
She's awful.
Nobody knows.
No,
You
no,
need
no,
help. Are you being abused?
No.
Blink twice.
Yeah, you need to get out of there.
Anyway, that's so clarifying, I'm sure, to go through something so traumatic.
It is. There was about a week afterwards where it felt, well, today I'll say it. I drove to Studio City.
Yeah.
My daughter's in school in Pasadena. My wife is in Lasso Park. I'm about to drive to Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And that will be the furthest apart that we've been in the last month and a half. And there is this interesting, like we're getting more comfortable with it, but this interesting sort of like stretched
Yeah.
tether
Right.
feeling. And
Yeah.
the first week, I was like, I don't want to be out of the same room
Totally.
as you
Right.
guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
And
so
then we'll
understand
like
that.
work our way back in. to
Yeah,
that.
I love that so much. There's something so positive about that.
Yeah.
Okay, give me the rundown on several things that are not sexy.
Mm-hmm.
So, as if the rest of this
I can make it sexy.
as if
That'll
the
be the
rest of
challenge.
this podcast
Go ahead.
was so sexy.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, just like for the layman that's listening that just has no idea about like the red tape of it all, is it just like a lot of phone calls with insurance people? Like,
Yeah,
like
it's-
you don't have to give like the play-by-play, obviously, because you're living it and that's planning for you, right? But like, just
we're
the
kind of on the
overview.
other side, sort of.
Yeah.
Now there's an interesting. It's a bunch of stuff you didn't think you'd learn or
Yeah.
have to know.
Yeah.
But the real bummer is, and again, like I could say it 1,000 times and it wouldn't be enough, that we are profoundly lucky that we're not broke. We have like a running car. We have
Right.
friends we can stay with. We have
Yeah.
like a
You have
lot of stuff that
resources.
infrastructurally make this doable
Yeah.
in a way. But like the first thing, you spend a lot of time like if I could have my house burned down and grab like what I really need is like
Yeah.
a computer and a printer.
Yeah.
And
Like,
a
I mean, like
checkbook
like a
and passports
logistical
and all-
nightmare.
all of
Yeah.
those things. And suddenly you're out there. The real bummer is that you feel like there's a bunch of stuff that for someone with OCD, and we're going to talk about that, there's the feeling of like, is there an emergency that I'm not attending to right now?
Right. Am I
Is
missing
there something I'm not doing that
Right.
if I that if I did do it, everything would be okay. And if I ignore it, then in a week I won't be able to do it. And
could it
suddenly I'm
expedite
screwed.
some of the healing or, move
Sure.
it through? Yeah.
Is there something I need to be doing? And the truth is, well, in a situation like this, it was kind of, helpful that there were like recovery centers or a couple of them, and you could go bang out a lot of that logistical stuff at once.
Oh, like up and running for people to do paperwork.
Yeah, suddenly
and
you
stuff.
talk to FEMA and housing and recovery and debris removal, and some good-looking lifeguard is there being like, you should check out every table, my friend, because they just ask them if they can help you.
Oh, that's great.
And it's the saddest place on earth. You hope you're not there, but everyone's super nice, and you get a whole bunch of stuff done at once, and then you feel like it's manageable.
Also, you made this sexy. Let's go back to the good-looking lifeguard.
Oh, I didn't mean to tap into that. Problem solved.
Yeah.
So it's not as, what's overwhelming about it is and I say this, again, we're super lucky that there's a community around us that was going through the same thing. So there was a lot of conversation among the community. If we were the only people, it might be difficult in a different way.
Oh, yeah. You must have such like a great nest of people to talk with about it who are dealing with the same.
In part, it was our street, that Gregory Ain street.
Those were your sweet neighbors.
So immediately we were on this big text thread with everybody else on the street. And so somebody would go check out this. I've got some information about debris removal.
Helpful.
And it was overwhelming in the beginning because there's just so much information incoming and you don't know what you have to parse out. And we started outsourcing things. So my brother would say, what could he do? I was like, well, you can research what I have to do in this.
Yeah. Also, there's sort of an exacting nature to the people. The people generally didn't stumble into that gorgeous, well thought out neighborhood. Like it's like they might be A students, right? There's like a certain simpatico.
It was the best of Altadena because it's a development that had been around since the 50s, and there were people on our street who had been there for
the original
50,
people?
60, 70
Amazing.
years. Yeah. Wow. It was really great.
Oh, so compelling, right?
Yep.
Altadena has such a rich and amazing history.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Okay, let's play a game.
Save
You
the
said
tiles.
we've been texting back and forth.
that.
He sends me red fins from like the Hudson Valley because I grew up, I grew up in Westchester and I have the relatives north of there. And so we keep laughing about how everything's on the table. So
So what's on the table?
Yeah, give me a few.
Azores.
Give me a few.
Oh my God!
What's on the table?
If I could,
Give me like 5.
I've already researched the
Give me you and
Azores.
Jen.
we talked about this?
Give me
We
a
talked about it a long
smorgasbord.
time ago, and I was like, I got into went down a rabbit hole on the Azores, and I was like, we're gonna have to barge in the house, and
It's amazing. My family moved from the Azores to Hawaii about 150 years ago.
That's an incredible.
So I went back
fact.
there for some photo work stuff, and it feels like Hawaii.
Yeah.
right.
Topographically,
Yeah.
climatologically, but every little town looks like a little Iberian town,
Beautiful.
Right.
Everything's on the table. My wife for work has to be sort of near LA or sort of near New York, so I just took everything down to 2 places on Earth.
I want you to be here, but like it's like I don't see you enough, so
We'll
that's
be
not.
here.
I'm not allowed
Yeah,
to say
we'll be
that.
here.
But
What about the rebuild? Are you thinking about rebuilding?
We're going to be part of whatever happens for our street because that's a real. We feel responsible to that, but it's also
that's
a
nice,
real
Maddie.
community thing. Like there will be there's a lot of interesting opportunity there. There will be some ongoing conversation. There'll be a lot of possibilities for what people do with that street because it was special in its own.
So you're sort of weighing in on that and supporting
Right.
whatever,
So what
whatever direction. It
can
goes.
you let us into the conversation of like what might have? Is there discussion about
What it could be?
rebuilding the actual? architects.
There were a couple architects on the street who lived there.
Oh, of course, right.
And
that
there
tracks.
were they've been approached by a lot of different people, and they're, unfortunately for Altadena, the people that are going to rebuild it are not the people who made it what it is,
Right.
because the people who made it what it is are a bunch of long-term homeowners and legacy homeowners and renters of businesses and stuff like that. But the kinds of money that it'll take to bring it back. But on our particular street, there's an opportunity to maybe, the whole thing was built at once. So they conserved
1948.
47.
47.
And it was 28 houses, and they same architect, same landscape architect, same floor plan, except it was mirrored back and forth up and down the street.
There was another Gregory involved who went to Harvard. He was the landscape guy.
Garrett Akbo was the landscape guy.
Okay.
And the but by doing them all at once, they saved on materials, the design costs, the planning, blah blah blah. So there's a lot of talk of trying to replicate something similar, making a we would be very much on board with some sort of 2025 version of
the
that
same
project.
Yeah.
The same house?
Oh, it'd be drop dead.
Would it be the same house, or would it be a Rick Caruso
footprint would be-
prefab?
Yeah. There's a lot of cool opportunity there. Everybody bought the house because they love it.
Yeah.
So doing something that feels like some lifestyle I'm about to say lifestyle updates and then wish I hadn't said
No,
it.
do it. Do it.
So
let's lean into
the
it.
lifestyle updates.
Let's Sheryl
Possible
Sandberg it.
for
Whoa.
2025.
You mean swinging saloon doors off the
Just
one?
like all the little things that
Yeah.
people had done to make that a even more livable house
even
over
more
time.
yeah.
To try to incorporate some of
user-friendly.
those things, plus some safety things
Well,
and some
while you're in
environmental
there,
things.
while you're in there,
Right,
I mean,
right.
come on.
But it's a massive project.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, to
early
It's
do
on,
it
but,
on the-
but is it on, so it's on the table.
everything's on
No,
there.
but I
that's
mean,
one of them.
it's one thing to have that tragedy happen and look to rebuild. It's another thing to have that tragedy happen and look to rebuild the street.
Sure.
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
big undertaking.
There
That's
are
a serious, like,
I mean, pros and cons. You have more people involved,
that's true.
which
Yeah.
is its own pro
Yeah.
and con.
You
You
have
have more money
architecture.
involved. You have,
Right.
but you have more opportunity costs involved. You have more, like maybe there's something where, say, half the people in the street get back on board on the same thing, and then
Yeah.
some developers
when you
available
say
to.
half,
That would mean 14 families.
14,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And then maybe the other half everybody's in a different situation.
Yeah.
Maybe the
well,
other
and also
half.
everyone's financially in a different
Right.
situation.
So
Yeah,
they could buy in or sell out as part of the project.
As
There's
needed.
like everything's
Someone
getting
else
figured
could
out
buy
at
in
once.
out their share. Right. There could be a lot of like moving
And then-
parts to just bring it as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel excited about that. I don't know.
I'm not heading the we're sort of attached to the project, but sitting back while other people
Seeing how
do
it plays
some
out.
deep
Some of the
investigation.
architects, I'm
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
are like
exactly.
on the boots on the
Right.
ground people.
Yeah.
Are there other parts of LA that appeal to you? Or
Sure.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's on the table too.
Yeah, it's we moved to Altadena. We lived in another place in Pasadena, Altadena before, and we were there on purpose, and that's
Yeah.
why we bought a house there. And
Yeah,
it's
you
our
like
favorite
the
place.
East Side.
We like and that community in particular was something really special.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of the feeling as we explore even the parts of LA that we love.
Yeah.
That there's a feeling that that's a little bit like static or backwards, and the idea of going somewhere 3,000 miles away feels a little bit forward and adventuresome in
Yeah.
a different way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
But
hearing a
that's
lot
ju-
of that too.
But that's just
Yeah.
we're just a month out.
Yeah, and
So I don't
also
know.
I give yourself time because I do think that some of that trigger pulling is a little bit reactive.
Sure.
And give yourself a minute, and if you know your own mind, it sounds like your timeline works where you're having a minute to kind of sort through
we
your
at least
feelings
have
about
through the
it.
end of the school year.
Right, and that'll give you some time to sort through your feelings because you may have a different. You may be singing a different tune by then. We'll see. I'm interested to see what's still on the table by June.
We have Carpenter families.
But I like that everything's on the
families
table now.
from Eaton and Palisades at Carpenter
Oh yeah.
from their schools. Went.
Yeah.
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 It's interesting because you immediately discover this stuff that is important to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, my daughter's art is physically important to me.
Yeah.
That's not around anymore, though she produces 100 pages of art.
High volume.
Yeah.
High volume artist.
But
Call the Hilton and the Hyatt.
Sure,
She can
but
churn them out.
I don't care about various things that I did care about.
Yeah.
But you also discover
What
like,
about your photography? Did you have a lot of?
I
mean,
lost-
you have that in your. Oh no, the computer was there.
Yeah, no, I have like the hard
backups,
drive that
you
has
have
all
backups.
of the scans and
Okay,
files and
okay.
stuff, but that's not the negatives, that's not the prints, that's
He has a
not
beautiful
the
book
cameras.
called The Leaping Place.
That's
That is
accurate.
gorgeous.
But we're discovering that being closer to family feels really nice and
Yeah.
important right now, and the people, but also being close to Bruna's school was so. We're trying to
Is Bruna
chase.
at a new school?
No.
She's at the same.
Her school is fine.
Her school is fine.
Her school's in Pasadena.
Wow.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice byproduct of
Yeah,
all
there are
of
a
it,
lot
that
of people
she kept
who
the
lost
friends at the school
houses
every
and
day, the
schools.
normalcy. Oh, that's wonderful.
Wow.
So there's a lot of move in our brains towards what are the things that make us feel comfortable and safe
Yeah.
and optimistic. And,
Yeah.
and part of the appeal of going east is that all of Jen's family is on the East Coast. I spent a lot of time growing up there, but Jen's family is between Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and
And
New
she
York.
has strong family roots, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
she has got
yeah.
these
She
darling
knows everybody.
sisters, and yeah,
Wow.
such nice parents. We met them at the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what is that silly thing people say that I always am so annoyed by, where it's like, God doesn't give you more than what you can handle, or whatever. It's like, come
No,
on.
that's the right
Sometimes there's
voice.
such a thing as, wasn't that accurate?
Yeah.
Where it's just
God
like, come
doesn't
on. Like
give it.
sometimes there's such a thing
Yeah.
as like shit luck. But here's the deal.
Yeah.
I just think of all the people I know who could like kind of wrap their head around this and come out singing. It's the guy who everything he touches turns to gold. And
There
that's
is-
that is my final answer on this.
I will bright side it a little bit. If you are safe in this situation,
Yeah.
in whatever way that there is like a kind of nimble clarity to the whole thing.
Yeah.
That is appealing in that it's not overwhelmingly confusing or something. It's
Right.
like, we don't
Right.
have any stuff.
Right.
We have a van.
Right.
We're
Oh
not
my
broke.
gosh.
You got a dope
Yeah.
van.
I appreciate that.
Dope.
You know, the
Dope
last
van.
time I had a duffel bag with my stuff and a van and a truck, but was
You were in Blue Man.
2022. And no, sorry. 2000
I hope
years
not.
anymore.
I hope not.
2000.
It was
Yeah.
that time I
The
ran
last
away
time
from
shit
home.
was so dark.
That's when we called the therapist.
No,
Yeah.
in 2000 when I graduated, I was 22 is what I meant to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah.
Right,
And
right.
the
Yeah.
and I'm a lot better off now.
Oh yeah.
So there's some opportunity in there.
Yes, and also like, what choice do you have? But like, it happened, and there's growth, and there's growth.
And it immediately makes you more mindful about the stuff that you bring into your life, and you find yourself thinking,
definitely.
I'm not going to buy this cup.
I almost
cup
want you as
fucking
a
sucks.
survivor to walk through our house of crap
Wait,
and just be
what
like,
cup
tell
did
us
you,
what to
were
get
you
rid of.
debating this about? It sounds
Somebody-
like you had a
somebody
big
gave
debate
me
about it.
somebody gave me people give you some gift cards when your house breaks down and
Really?
burns down a little bit.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I was remiss.
you feeling weird?
I was remiss.
You're feeling weird right
I
now.
was remiss.
Sure.
I
The,
only
um,
shot him a few texts.
No,
I'm
so somebody
overdue.
gave me a gift card to a place down the street. I walk in there. I bought
lovely.
the shirt you're looking at and the pants you're looking at.
It was fabulous
Yeah.
outfit.
That's pretty-
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's a cool cup. This is a cup that I would have gotten
Yeah.
a month ago.
Yeah.
But this is not going to be my only cup.
No.
This cup is not worthy of being my only.
No, it's like, this is just
yeah.
like one of many, right?
I don't have a fork.
That's
it's
what
like-
right. That's what I was.
like,
That's what I
there's
was
so much
saying.
pressure on
There
this
is
poor
a story
cup. This
behind
cup
that.
cannot. This cup is going to have
Can we-
an inferiority complex
Can we
once
take
the other cups join
I think
in.
I can do this in 30 seconds.
Do it.
Okay. I have 3 pairs of black pants.
Okay.
I have 6 of the exact same T-shirt.
Brilliant.
8 of the same pair of underwear. 3 of the same pair of socks.
Oh my gosh.
A pair of boots. A pair of Birkenstocks. I have a great pen, but I asked for a new one for my birthday. That's
Okay.
kind of an
It's on the
upgrade.
horizon.
Yeah, I have like a great sketchbook. I replaced my camera, and I have 1 book.
You know what this reminds me of?
One book.
This reminds me of you at William and Mary.
Right?
That's
Wait,
that's
wait, I
great.
wanna
You
know what
travel
book.
light.
Well, I didn't have any books. And then I went to Book Alley, my favorite bookstore in Pasadena. The owner's house also burned down.
Oh.
But to walk through a bookstore, Jen, my wife, walked through. And I was like, this is devastating because these are all the books that I had.
Yeah.
And she's a writer. These are all like the things
Books are
that make me
important to
feel.
you. Yeah.
Right,
For me, it was like, I'll start over. I lost a lot of really important to me books. I lost a lot of books that are hard to find, blah, blah, blah. But the feeling of what's going to be my only book? I'm never, and the only
what
thing,
a question.
yeah, I bought A Member of the Wedding by Carson McCullers, which I've never read.
Love it.
But Jen really likes Carson McCullers, and it was a very pretty copy of the book. And that's,
wow.
I've
So
always
beautiful.
wanted
and you'll
to
both,
read it.
And you'll both read it. I mean, she's read it.
One
Yeah.
book.
Obviously.
But that was and now I'm like, maybe when I finish reading the book, maybe I'll just take the book back to the bookstore.
Maybe I'll
Maybe
donate
maybe
it.
I don't need
Maybe
to.
I'll donate
That's-
it.
And get another book.
Yeah, that's how libraries
That's-
work. But here we are.
I mean, somebody thought of that.
Yeah,
Not recently.
Benjamin
That's a
Franklin.
great idea. No, it's just
Johnny,
so
I think
interesting
I
because
think
you
you're
think
onto
about
something.
like it's like I don't remember the last time I had one book.
Yeah,
You know, like but you know when you really think about it,
yeah. There's a big
One book,
difference
that's your
between
focus.
1,000 books and one book.
right,
Yeah. But also
And there's
look
a
at,
huge difference between one book and two books.
right.
right.
Now
Right.
I go into the bookstore. I'm like, I don't know. Do I
But
need
also,
another book?
we've been together for 21 years,
Uh-huh.
and he only has one wife.
Sure, fair enough.
And you just make the one wife work.
Yeah.
He doesn't have two wives.
Yeah,
He'd
it's-
probably like a second.
It's called patina, folks. You just got to embrace
just
the
make
journey.
it
No, but
work.
it is true though.
And don't put too
if
much
you
pressure
really,
on it.
Sure.
It's a pretty good wife.
I
I mean,
appreciate
I laugh and in the scenario, but it's really interesting to think that
Yeah, the psychology.
I don't need another book.
No.
I have a book.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I
there's
was not-
something to say about like I have a book. I
Yeah.
could give away this book and get another book.
Yeah.
And I was not a minimalist. Like, I collect.
That is
Yeah.
a minimalist.
You know, you're like an
That
avid
is-
collector of things you're interested in.
Yeah, but now it feels like I'm not going to acquire anything. Well, first of all, we have a van.
Yeah.
And the
Right.
feeling of like, well, I'm not going to, right now, we could take everything we own, put it in the van. I could drive across country, still sleep in the pop top, and meet my daughter and wife who flew across the country. And I'm
like freedom.
wow. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not gonna
Don't mess with that anytime
bloat
soon.
right now. It's not.
Right.
Maybe 2 books isn't bloat, but I'm not gonna.
Listen.
Right.
I might spring for the second book.
I appreciate
Since I didn't do the gift card.
Yeah.
Well, but
Give me
I
a
mean,
gift card, not a
that's
book.
an interesting thing because she puts me through all these YouTube minimalist Japanese videos.
Sure.
Of
Oh my
like,
gosh, I want to
know,
Marie Kondo this.
Yeah. Have fun.
And I look and I go through the process and I start clearing stuff out, and it's a better feeling as you do, and
Yeah, you
but
feel better.
but mentally had not gotten to. I have one book.
Oh
And I
God,
just
Yeah.
think
so
that's
good. For
It's
John Tom.
ridiculous.
Oh, is
someone
that,
would.
you're
So good
you're
for
the
you.
only thing you're taking out of this is that I'm going to get rid of.
No, that's not what I'm taking out of this. This is a very.
Thanks for coming to our
This is
couples
very
therapy.
poignant.
Yeah,
This
I
is
would
very
not.
poignant.
I would not wish it on anybody.
No.
Right.
It is more bad than good.
No, it's
and then there
wild.
are a couple interesting things
Takeaways.
that feel surprising
Yeah.
in maybe a positive way.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the way to encapsulate
freeing
it.
feeling of just
Also, I'm impressed you
able
can
to get in the
encapsulate
van.
it at all. Let's just be real. I'm sure there are people that are stumbling around right now and not able to verbalize any
Yeah,
of it.
there are
So
also people whose
I knew
brains
you were the right
don't.
person to bring on the podcast
Right.
because you have a way with words and you have a way with putting your emotions together in a pretty
Most
cogent way.
Most
you
of
know?
our professors at William and Mary would not agree with you. most of,
what would they? What
most
wouldn't
of
they
it
agree with?
was as soon as I raised my hand. It's college, you don't raise your hand. As soon as I started talking, people, every other student in the class, just like turned their head down, and then except for one professor, and I'll save it to the end, and all of them would just feel like they were getting on a train they didn't want to get on. Like,
that true?
when is he going to get? 15 minutes from now, maybe
They were
he's going to
just
get to
jealous because
something
you were always
salient.
the lead in the play. They were
fair
just
enough.
jelly. They were jelly. I just
No,
remember I
that's-
stayed up all night and wrote a 10-page paper for African history, and I shouldn't have stayed up all night. I should have worked on it over the 3 months. It was a sign.
No, how it goes.
And it wrote, I got a B minus, and he wrote,
Mm.
"This doesn't make any sense at all." And that pretty much sums up. When I wasn't on stage, the rest of it was pretty much summed up by that.
The greatest
Oh my
professor
God.
I ever had was a guy named Jack Willis in the English
feedback. I
department.
remember him.
And he paid me the greatest compliment I've ever heard, which is, and the greatest insult. But after he came and saw me in a play,
Mm-hmm.
and then he said, I had a student a long time ago who you remind me of a lot.
Oh.
And he said, he said, well, he's an actor. His name's Scott Glenn. And I was like,
Oh, did he go to William and Mary?
yeah. And this,
How did I miss like the fifth person?
as a
There's
kid who
only
kind of
five.
like grew up on the
Yeah.
right stuff, that's highest
That's
compliment you could
high
possibly
praise.
get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then I also wrote a paper once, and he used to write a lot of notes in the margins. He didn't write a single note. And then at the end of the paper, he wrote, reading this paper felt like watching the Titanic sink.
Wait, stop.
No,
Oh my
that's
God! Can you
terrible.
imagine having to read all those terrible papers?
You couldn't
Reading
write
the-
that on a student's
you
paper now,
couldn't
or
make
you'd
it
get
up.
sued. Or
It's like the casting director who one time I
Watching
went
the
in the room and
Titanic
stunk up the
sink.
room, and she said, "Just do it again," and I don't know, just do it better.
I've
my
gotten a
God.
lot of that.
Well, it
That's
was wonderful
crazy.
having you. I love you so much. Everything's on the up and
That
up.
wasn't a
You
timer, by the
are-
way. That
No,
was
it
some
sounded like your
weird-
alarm went off, but it
For some
didn't.
reason, it clicked into.
I want to leave
on.
you wanting more of us
a
because
for
we're
sure.
going to have you again, and by next time we'll have
Really?
9 listeners, and
Okay.
it'll be even better.
I think you got like 30 usable seconds in there.
No, we haven't edited any of them, so you.
Oh, get out of
Yeah.
town. I love that.
You might be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, love you.
I love you.
Oh, love you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
We're still here.